It's Sway in the morning, only on Shade 45.
Sway in the morning, Shade 45, president of the NAACP. Ben Jealous has joined us this morning. He's the youngest president of the NAACP's history. 10 minutes past the top. Man, I know you got a lot of skepticism when you were elected, just because of your age, perhaps. Right?
Yes. No, it was controversial with some. Controversial with some.
How did you cope? How did you deal?
Well, I started as an organizer in Harlem when I was 18 years old, and so there were actually a whole lot of folks who were much older than me who had known me for a long time. And then I went down to Mississippi. The governor was trying to turn a black college into a prison. And so the fact that I had sort of a network of elders who knew me from the West Coast, where I grew up, from Harlem, where I went to school, got kicked out of school for protests, came back to school, and from Mississippi, really helped. Because when folks started expressing their doubts, it was really old folks who had trained me who called them and said, chill.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, we brought up civil rights earlier. And we have a lot of issues when it pertains to civil rights. And even right now, especially when it pertains to people who are gay. Yep. And people often like to compare the plight of gay people to the plight of African Americans. Sure. Do you feel like that's fair?
Look, there's an old slogan out there. Folks will say gay, straight, black, white, same struggle, same fight. And I always think, not exactly. I mean, on the one hand, yes, these are both important civil rights issues. Yeah. And nobody deserves to be discriminated against because of what they are, who they love. My parents' own marriage was against the law in 1966 because dad's white and mom's black. And that's just messed up. But by the same token, race is something that you can't wipe off. You can't. You could perm your hair, but folks know. Yeah, yeah, right. And you can't get away from your family and your neighborhood, so it's a different experience. And that deserves to be respected. So on the one hand, as a black man, I'm very clear that our struggle is a unique struggle. Our experience of slavery is a unique experience. On the other hand, as a civil rights leader in a democracy, I'm very clear that sexism is wrong, different from racism, but wrong. Homophobia is wrong, different from racism, wrong. And that, quite frankly, all of us who have the experience of being oppressed do have something in common. The folks who don't know that type of oppression, don't know what it's like to be beat up by the cops because they don't like what you are, whether that's a gay person or a black person, don't know. Or don't know what it's like to watch your friend be beat up. Right? Yeah. And I grew up with in a small black community. My best friend was my mom's best friend's son, and we were like brothers. Yeah. And it was pretty clear that he was different when he was 4 and dressing up like Diana Ross, right?
Yeah, that's a little. That would make him to be a little different,
And so when he was getting bullied, and then when he was getting beat up by the cops up in San Francisco, when we never really knew whether he was being beat up because he was black or because he was gay or because he was transgender or all of the above. Yeah. Right. So that's where I am. Black is definitely, the experience of race is different, but the experience of oppression, the way we're going to stop it is all coming together. And that's why I'm so proud with this march. We actually had 35 LBGT groups stand at the Stonewall Inn and said, you know what? We've been beat up by the cops. Our entire gay rights movement was launched in this bar in the Village because the cops came in here and beat us to death. Yeah. I mean, they, literally it was black transgender dudes throwing bricks at the cops who got them away. Right. And they're saying, so we didn't like it when you picked on us, and we really don't want you picking on these black kids anymore. Okay. We've gotten to a point in this city where there are more stop and frisks of young black boys. I mean, we call them young men, but they're 14. Yeah. Young black boys, 14 and all the way up to men 24, that age bracket, 14 to 24. There are more stop and frisks of young black men in that age bracket than there are young black men in that age bracket. You got kids coming up here talking to the press. I've been stopped 60 times and proud of it.
They wear it on their sleeve like a badge of honor.
Right. And that's not how it should be. And the reality is that once you accept your oppression, it becomes permanent. Okay. And so we're trying to get a whole generation that's come of age in these last 10 years when we haven't been talking racial profiling out on the streets to say, stop treating us like criminals because of our color. Let's get back to a place where we just got to fear the robbers and not the cops and the robbers at the same time.
It's Sway in the morning, only on Shade 45.